Thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation of the Draft Long Term Accommodation Plan 2024 to 2029. It's also referred to as the LTAP. The contents of this presentation include the following. We'll provide a quick overview of the purpose. We'll then talk about the Long Term Accommodation Plan, the LTAP's overview, the LTAP's principles, as well as its parameters. Then we'll move on to providing you with some information on York Region's demographics, as well as our YCDSB's enrollment projections. We'll then move on to talk about the demographics and the enrollment summary as well. And the seventh thing we'll accomplish here with this presentation is to talk about the draft accommodation initiatives. We'll talk about next steps and finally a summary. The purpose of this presentation is to provide an overview of the draft 2024 to 2029 YCDSB Long-Term Accommodation Plan, or the LTAP, and is also to seek community input on the draft LTAP on the overall and specific possible accommodation initiatives impacting your school. Input received will be considered prior to the finalization of the LTAP in the fall of 2024. So what is the Long-Term Accommodation Plan? Well, the LTAP is a comprehensive multi-year document that guides future accommodation planning needs and initiatives. The LTAP is a key piece of the board's multi-year strategic plan and is guided by the Ministry of Education's legislation and expectations. The LTAP helps guide capital investment, program, and facility decisions. It also demonstrates to stakeholders that YCDSB has a plan and strategy to deal with accommodation and to show initiatives so families and partners are aware of what to expect in the coming years. The majority of the initiatives identified with the plan will each have their own community input and approvals process. I want to provide you with a key overview highlights from a structure perspective. There are essentially two parts of the document. Part 1 is sections 1 to 6, which includes the context, the background information, as well as all the data that leads to the summary of accommodation initiatives, which you can also find on page 33 of the LTAP. Part 2 is sections 7 to 16, which contains more specific school data, including area profiles based on a much smaller geography areas in York Region, containing information about the school facilities, like when it was built, what the capacity of the school is, if there might be childcare or B&A programs, etc. And that provides a much more detailed picture of the area and all the schools, including any of the enrollment summary and potential accommodation strategies for the area. The following LTAP planning principles were developed to guide the formation of the plan and subsequent accommodation decision making. The accommodation principles include ensuring viable school organizations and programs, optimizing the use of facilities, minimizing the requirement of transportation, as well as to support any legislative requirements. The LTAP parameters directed the development of a comprehensive plan to address current and future pupil accommodation for enhancing student achievement and well-being. First, through new schools and additions. Second, boundary changes and/or program relocations. Third, through partnerships. Fourth, excess capacity or mothballing, as well as fifth, accommodation reviews. All of the data and information in the following slides can be seen in more detail in the LTAP document. It is important to understand the context in York Region and how all this data and information feeds into the development of the LTAP and the initiatives identified as part of the summary of initiatives. Overall, there were 1.17 million people in York Region according to the 2021 census data, and this is up 5.7% since the 2016 census information. The most populous municipalities remain Markham, Vaughan, and Richmond Hill. The population is also expected to grow in York Region to 2.05 million by 2051. There is an increasing gap over time between total school-aged children between ages 5 to 14 and YCDSB elementary enrollment, which has been decreasing. Over the last 20 years, the total number of school-aged children between 5 and 14 years old increased by 26%, but enrollment has decreased in elementary for YCDSB by 7%. The proportion of YCDSB enrollment in elementary for all school-age children has gone from 31% in 2001 down to 23% in 2021. York Region has experienced large-scale residential development over the past 20-25 years. This trend is anticipated to continue over the long term. The pie charts on this slide illustrate the shift in housing completions from 2011 to 2021 and include York Region's forecasted housing starts by unit type by 2031. In 2011, 58% of all new residential units consisted of single-family homes. In 2021, only 38% of new homes were single-family detached homes. Over the same time period, the percentage of apartments or condos starts increased from 24% to 36%. Now, the regional projections for 2031 are highlighted in yellow and suggest a shift further towards medium and higher density dwellings. Development and growth is an input to enrollment projections, along with many other data points. Generally speaking, York Catholic has much higher pupil yields from single-family homes than townhomes or apartments and condos. As of October 2023, elementary enrollment was 30,522 students, with a board-wide elementary facility capacity of approximately 41,000 pupil places or students. That equates to over 10,000 excess pupil places. From 2019 to 2023, the elementary panel declined by approximately 4,000 students, or 12% over a 4-year period, and it's projected to decline by an approximately 4,000 more students over the next 10 years. Now, there are a number of factors contributing to this decline. There's the aging population in York Region. There's the overall decline in young people aged 0 to 14. There's a 9% decrease in that 0 to 4 age cohort, with a minor increase in the ages 5 to 14 cohort. Catholicity is also decreased from 35% of the total population in York Region in 2001 to 25% of the total population in York Region in 2021. Immigration is also a key factor in population growth across York Region, which is responsible for about 80% of the growth. The vast majority of immigrants are coming from countries where Catholicism is not a prominent religion. Also, there's the increasing gap between graduating grade 8s as well as the new incoming junior kindergartens that are coming into our schools. That means that there are more grade 8s that are graduating than there are incoming junior kindergartens. So for example, there could be 50 grade 8s graduating from a particular school, but only 20 incoming JKs. That results in a net loss of 30 students. Now, elementary enrollment peaked in 2007 with just under 38,000 students. Between 2016 and 2021, the population increased by 5.7%, but the preschool age declined by 9%. So, despite the residential growth for York Region, the 10-year enrollment at the elementary panel is anticipated to continue to decline. Secondary enrollment is a bit of a different story. Since 2019, secondary enrollment has increased by 884 students overall. Students enrolling at YCDSB from York Region District School Board through open access is a factor in this increase. Over the next 10 years, as smaller elementary school cohorts work their way into secondary school, we expect enrollment to decline. As a recap of the demographics and enrollment, York Region's overall population continues to grow and is projected to continue to grow into the future. Demographics show that York Region is aging, with less school-age children, and is also less Catholic. Residential development is also trending towards higher density types of housing, which has historically yielded less students or pupils for your Catholic District School Board. There's the overall trend of enrollment decline and the increasing number of small elementary schools of 230 students or less. More detailed data is available in the draft LTAP. The next number of slides will provide you with some background and information on accommodation initiatives. On this slide, you'll see the draft summary of accommodation initiatives, which are also seen on page 33 or section 6.7 of the draft LTAP document. I'll go through an overview of this over the next 2 slides. The draft summary of accommodation initiatives has 6 categories of initiatives. The first category is new schools and additions. The second category is temporary accommodations or porta packs. The third are boundary reviews, and that's divided up into impacts to existing students as well as no impact to existing students, which refers to future residential development only. The fourth category is program reviews. The fifth category is facility partnerships. And finally, the last category is pupil accommodation reviews. Now, the different initiatives address different needs. New schools and additions and temporary accommodation addresses enrollment growth or pressures in certain schools or certain areas. Boundary reviews and program areas can address both enrollment growth and decline in a given area. Facility partnerships and pupil accommodation reviews help to address enrollment decline. From the draft summary of accommodation initiatives, there are a number of new initiative plans such as new schools in Queensville, in East Gwillimbury, in Vaughan Metropolitan Centre in Vaughan, as well as the St. Teresa of Lisieux Cafeteria Addition, pending ministry approval. Boundary reviews have also been identified to address situations where enrollment distribution does not efficiently utilize the available space in schools. Facility partnerships continue to be pursued to utilize the surplus capacity in the system as a result of declining enrollment. The board hosts annual community planning and partnership meetings with external agencies and potential partners to seek out those potential partners. They may include internal YCDSB uses, such as the area office or continuing education, or coterminous school boards, child cares, municipal uses, early on centers, or any other community agencies. At this time, specific school closures have not been proposed as a result of the provincial government's moratorium on pupil accommodation reviews in 2017. However, pupil accommodation reviews remains one of the several possible solutions in response to continued enrollment decline and the increasing number of smaller schools. And you can get more information on smaller schools in the overall LTAP as well as in the area profiles. Therefore, we're seeking feedback from the public on how to prioritize these possible reviews if or when the moratorium is lifted. In terms of next steps in the lineup, we're looking at a number of tasks. First, we've launched the LTAP project page on the YCDSB website with lots of different material from this presentation that you're seeing here, to a survey that we hope you will complete, to a new application that users can put their address in, and the area profile for their geography would pop up. Next, we are looking at 3 open house sessions in September, East, West, and North, where we plan to have superintendents, curriculum, planning, transportation, and other staff present to answer any questions you may have. We're then planning to conclude the survey and public feedback on October the 15th, review the feedback, and make any revisions to the LTAP and bring it to the Board of Trustees for their final approval in November or December of 2024. Then subsequently, in January of 2025, we will send communication out regarding the final approved LTAP document. In summary, the Long Term Accommodation Plan is a dynamic document intended to outline the board's 5-year plan with respect to pupil accommodation. While the region of York continues to experience overall population growth, the school-age population and correspondingly the board's overall enrollment is on the decline. We are shifting our accommodation focus to addressing underutilization and smaller schools rather than overcrowding and growth in years past. We would appreciate you completing the LTAP survey containing questions pertaining to the overall draft 2024 to 2029 LTAP document as well as the information provided. And we would be happy to take any specific suggestions that you may have for your school community. We would also appreciate and encourage you to share and ask other members of the school community to provide input through this survey as well as this plan. We thank you for your attention and appreciate your input.